Hello and welcome to Royal Trainingz. Today we have with us a very enchanting personality. I am very sure that you are going to love to listen to her and learn a lot from her. Definitely the input from her will make a lot of difference for you and your family. So the person is Nilofer herself. She is here. Welcome Nilofer.
Good evening and thank you, Akbar.
Okay. Nilofer is a senior international trainer, mentor, leadership coach, certified music therapist and founder of Enlightenment Center for Training Excellence. She has a degree in genetics, has PGDM in management, currently working towards masters in counseling psychology. She specializes in leadership development, positive attitude, emotional intelligence, communication skills, sales, stress management, problem solving and decision making. These are just a few of lot of the things she does. Besides being a regular visiting faculty at several universities, she has been a visiting faculty at Madras Management Association and Anna University. She has carried out trainings in parts of Africa and other countries. She has trained people from all walks of life, students, managers, senior managers, directors, police officers, several corporates, teachers and scientists. Recently, she was conferred with the Exceptional Woman of Excellence at Women Economic Forum at IIM Kozhikode. During the pandemic, she has been actively involved with online training. I have had the good fortune of working with her on a couple of projects. And today, we are going to spend some time with her and finding out ways of to be successful, how to be a successful person in today's time. So, Mr. Nilofer, welcome once again, and I would like to start off with one question. What is your success funda?
Okay. Success as such means different things to different people. But when you talk about success as a trainer, or you think that it gives you a sense of fulfillment, something where you are liked by people, people want you to come and interact with their organization, with their people. And I would look at it this way, that there are three pillars when you're doing a training delivery. There are three basic main pillars. One is the communication, how you communicate with people, the content, what you offer them. Because many times you would find people who are very flawless speakers and all, but then when you look at the content, it is not much. So it's something that you take home. And finally, it is who you are as a person. Because when I teach people, when I go to organizations, I always tell people that to be a good manager, to be a good leader, you have to be a good person first. So that is the foundation over which you build. So I have tried to be a little faithful to this, wherein I have also tried to develop myself as a person, as a professional as well, and also focus on how I communicate with people, and also ensure that the content, there's a lot of integrity in the content that I prepare. So
to be very frank, I have always felt that your integrity standards are very high, your ethics are very high. And definitely above all this what you achieved up till now, you are a person of par excellence. I have felt it numerous times.
Thank you so much. But then I have just strived, like I said, very faithfully. There's nothing very other than some basic qualities. If we focus on that, what I feel is, now let me also tell you something about to be a successful trainer. When you talk about being successful as a trainer, there are I would say there are 8 key trainer behaviors that I basically try to follow, and I would also advocate for people who are aspiring to be good trainers. The first and foremost is, we work with different methods of interacting with our audience, in the sense that many people only would lecture. So you have to have something where you form a link, a bond with your trainees. So it could be a video, it could be a story, it could be a personal anecdote, like a personal experience from your life which would touch another person. The second thing I would say is, always welcome questions from people. Encourage them to ask questions, because the audience by themselves are not very. So when you encourage them to ask questions, you would one person would start, two would start, and that way you would also ensure that you are able to communicate very well with them. The third one is being a good listener. it's very important to actively listen not only to what a person is saying, but to a person's facial expressions, his body language, how they are. You can even sense people when you are looking at an audience. You can sense what they are feeling. And the next one is, be very objective. In the sense that we do not take sides, we do not form very strong opinions as trainers. We are flexible. The opinions are something where you don't say that I believe in this and this is the right way. Here you are allowing another person to bring out his potential, so there would be various opinions. So it's always better to have a very neutral view about things. And then the fifth one is to be very adaptable. See, I have gone to many places where I've trained people from various backgrounds, people who are managers, people who are from a different country, a different culture, a different kind of attitude or thinking. So it's always better to take it play it by the ear, in the sense that you do not know what you are. I always have a very open mind and be adaptable to what you are. Don't say that, okay, I'm a trainer, I'm doing this, so it has to be like this. No. And another thing is participative. It's you have to be one of the audience. Like when you teach somebody, like you're not teaching them, you're also learning from them. So always have this mindset of being participative, being part of it. Like you form a team rather than a trainer, a learner behavior things. And another thing is also, it's very important. Many trainers feel hesitant, to give feedback. So I find that people appreciate it, and that too, even if you have to give quick feedback, it should always be positive. It should be constructive. We don't tell lies, but we, even if there is something area of improvement, we ensure we give very constructive feedback. And finally, you have to be very approachable as a trainer. We cannot say that we are standing on a pedestal and we are a trainer. It's like you are more like a friend, or more like a well-wisher of the person whom you are going to be training. So these are a few key trainer behaviors that I have adapted, and I have found that it has helped me a lot.
You have reached quite a place as far as training is concerned, and trained a lot of people, thousands of people from different walks of life. What were the hurdles you had to overcome to reach this level? Definitely, one cannot say that I didn't have any hurdles to overcome. It definitely would not be a cakewalk.
Yes. Very true. There have been, I mean, like when you started off, how we all were together. And incidentally, I'd also like to mention that I had a corporate career of about 2 decades before I came into the field of training. And I have always liked to be, I have always been very passionate about teaching. Teaching or training. So at some point of time, I decided to quit my corporate career and come whole time into training. So one thing is, I have been very driven by this passion to become a good teacher or a trainer. And of course, I underwent the training, and I had the wonderful experience of being with all of you. And the thing is, the main challenge was when you get into the field, as long as you're training, everything is nice. When you actually go into the thing, because you realize that there is so much of competition, and also how do you establish your credibility? How does another person know you mean well? How does another person? So how I have dealt with this is, I was lucky to start off with a good assignment. I was referred to by somebody, and I made the most out of it. And because I felt that this was a great chance, so I gave my best, and I made sure that everybody, I gave my best. I can't gauge anybody's reaction, but the fact that I got a very thumping feedback was very encouraging for me. And then I was I was waiting for something else that could come, and soon enough, it took some time. It is very difficult because it's training. When you're a trainer, I would probably compare you to a doctor or a surgeon, because you can't market yourself as a trainer. I don't know how you do it. I have never marketed myself. I have never gone and asked for work. I don't know whether you'll believe me or not, but I have never, it's never been like I have asked somebody. So by word of mouth, somebody attended my program and somebody felt it was okay. Somebody went and told somebody, and then they came back and said, okay, would you like to do this? And I slowly, it was a slow process, but the fact that every opportunity I had, I practiced so well, I trained myself, I made sure that I would give my best, and I tried a lot of innovative methods also, wherein, so it was one thing that led to another, and I was also very lucky that the first assignment we did so well that I was asked to replicate the same thing with another batch, which also went off very well, and thus my reputation was slightly established in that area. So I think my first assignment was with a software company, and then from there I was recommended, and I also did another program for CLRI, the Central Leather Research Institute, and they had a lot.
Sorry to disturb you. That reminds me, your CLRI has connection with the Ethiopian training assignment of yours.
Yes, that was. So one thing led to another. True, Akbar. So when I replicated it, they first thought it was a fluke. The first program that went off well, they thought, okay, it would be. So they actually mentioned in the feedback that we were very happy to know that the second batch is as delighted as the first. Then they invited me, saying that we have a twinning program with some our counterparts in Africa, and the government of India is we are running between India and Ethiopia, basically an African country. We are running a twinning program where there is a lot of knowledge transfer happening on the technical level. Would you like to come as an expert and help us in the knowledge transfer and for management topics and soft skills and leadership, behavior and things like that? I was delighted, and they as a test, they had about 12 senior people from Ethiopia come in, and we conducted a program. And that was again, it had got very good reviews. And then they said that we have more than 100 participants there. We cannot fly them. So why don't we fly you to, Africa? And that's how my relationship with the African continent started. And one thing led to another, and I went for a month, and I trained about 125 people, and then they asked us to come back the next year, and and so on and so forth. And this we started with the leather division, and then the metal division also, when they had a twinning program with the Indian counterparts, they invited us to be the training. They invited me to be the trainer. So it was a great experience.
How was your experience in Africa, especially Ethiopia?
It was very nice, and here I'd like to say something which is, when it was a great learning for me. I went to teach, but I learned a lot of things. First of all, before I went, I remember a lot of people warning me, Nilofer, you're going to the African continent, be careful, don't wear your diamonds, don't carry expensive mobiles, be very careful. But Akbar, believe me, I found that the people there, although they may be poor, they also have hardships. But from my personal experience, like a water bottle, I went to a small coffee shop, and I took a water bottle with me, and I had taken 2-3 sips, and after I took my coffee, I paid for it, and we just walked out. I forgot the water bottle. And after about 1 furlong, I heard a little boy saying, "Miss, miss," and he's running behind me with the water bottle saying, "You forgot your water bottle." I mean, I was so amazed, there was really no need. And I also found another thing is, even in their roads, they have traffic, and they have a lot of long queues, and there'd be traffic jam. Nobody unnecessarily honks. And another thing is, if you are crossing even a huge main road, even a truck will stop for you and allow you to cross. That's something that you cannot. In India, you would probably be run over. And another thing I found was we have these share autos. They call them 5 bir. The currency is bir there, So it's a 5 bir. Like you pay 5 bir and you can go anywhere. There'll be long queues. People will not be, crowding around the auto rickshaw. They will stand in queues. And if there is a pregnant woman, they will push her. Each person will push that lady in front. So even if she's in the last, she's in the last in the queue standing, she will be in 5 minutes pushed in the front, and she'll be the first priority to get into the share auto. So these are all things that I have learned, and I felt that these are all things which come from within values, and that made me have a lot of respect for these people as a race. And another thing was, all of them could understand English. That's because the government, they have 84 dialects in that country, but the government has made it mandatory for education to be in English medium. So you go to any part, any village in Ethiopia, you will be able to communicate with them. But if I go to a small village in Gujarat or somewhere in Telangana, there are chances if I don't know the language, I may not be able to communicate with them. So these are a few things that I really appreciated when I was teaching when I went to Ethiopia.
About your award.
Yeah. Okay. This was something like, I have always been, I'm not, I've never been vocal about it, but I always unconsciously or subconsciously try to include, values of leadership in whatever kind of course I communicate with. Whether it's a communication, when I give stories, when I give personal examples, because I strongly believe that unless we develop ourselves as a person, as an individual, like our attitude is most important. It's the foundation of anybody's success.
Definitely.
So I have always tried to do it, and there were some areas when I trained certain people from different walks of life. People came back to me with this feedback saying that, Madam, we really like the way you focus on certain ethics and values which are so essential, which are disappearing. So I was also introduced to this Women's Economic Forum, where I met a lot of people, ladies who were from different walks of life, who have made great mark in their lives and things like that. And when I was telling them about my small little achievements and things like that, some of them had the chance to experience my programs and so on and so forth, like over a period of time in different corporates, and when they took feedback from different people, and there were some people who nominated me for this kind of this award, and I was lucky enough to get this. And this function was held at Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. So that's where I received this award. So I was feeling very humbled, because there's a small training efforts have been recognized, and it's very gratifying.
And in today's time, a very difficult situation we are in. Besides pandemic, we have another bigger pandemic. Name of the pandemic is mobile phone.
Correct.
Youngsters, I was recently in discussion with some senior people, psychologists, and they were telling that today's world, the problem is youngsters have got the habit of getting everything done by a press of a button.
Right.
Some time back, if we used to go to buy a train ticket, we might have to spend half a day to get a ticket. Now that they get it within a minute by the press of a button. So they have started feeling that everything can be got with the press of a button. And as a result, subconsciously they started believing that success also will come with the press of a button. And when they don't get it, we have a lot of cases of depressions, anxiety, even suicide.
That's right.
So what should be done in that area? What is your personal observation and what is your personal message for the youngsters who are watching?
Yes, very true, Akbar. It's true. See, we all of us should be, taught. That it's important to fail. And failing is just any other thing that happens in life, because we make a big issue, because what happens is many of us we take it as a prestige issue. It becomes an ego problem, and that's when there is a problem, because it's important for us to fail, it's important for us to fall. So even as you said, in my classes, one of the most important thing we say is it is good to fail, because when you fall down, you realize the value of getting up. You realize that the value that you have the resilience and the strength. Then that's when you start believing in yourself. Till you fall down, you feel that you don't know what your strengths are. You don't know what your skills are. You don't know what you are. But when you fall down, when you fail, it's only when you fail you realize the strength that you have. You discover yourself. So it's very important for parents and everybody, educationists, anybody, when somebody doesn't do very well, let's not be judgmental. We take it as part of life. That's okay. You failed an exam, go study and pass. We don't have to tell them, oh, you have insulted me and you have brought dishonor to the family name. This is where the parents make a mistake. And what happens is the child grows with very low self-esteem. When you fail and you get up, you become that much stronger. You know that tomorrow, whatever happens, even if I fall, I know how to get up. So you are mentally prepared for anything like that. So I always feel that it is important for us to take failures in our stride, and we should not make a big issue about it, because it is important to fall. When we were small babies, we used to crawl. When we started getting up, like, before we started walking, how many thousand times we have fallen down. And imagine if our parents told us, oh, you're a failure, you're an idiot, you're a horrible person, we would never have had the courage to get up. But today, our parents would, even a little attempt, they'll clap. They say, wow, he's getting up. And that is the encouragement that we have to give our children all our lives. Every time they fall, we say, yes, don't worry, you're doing well, get up and go ahead.
That's a very nice, way of putting it up, that failure is good.
Yes,
Failing is good.
Failure is good.
Failing is good. We'll take a small break. We were discussing about the hurdles and hardship you faced.
Right. And when you start off, it's very difficult. Like I said, one is to establish your credibility for people to know who you are. It's only when you pick up the work. Another thing is, a lot of people in the corporate or even otherwise, they I don't know how they get the perception, and they expect trainers to do certain things which might not be in tandem what we are supposed to do. For instance, they would expect you to joke or behave like a comedian, which is absolutely not acceptable. Because yes, we do have a responsibility to make the training interesting. We have to ensure that people are engrossed in it, and yes, there might be some narrations and all. You might have lighter moments,
yes.
But everything should be related, or it should relate to the training topic. It cannot be something which somebody expects you to do it. So I have faced situations where I would have to say no, or the other person may not like to choose me because I'm not I'm not going to follow up that kind of behavior.
Because basically you are not an entertainer.
Yes.
You are a trainer.
Yes,
There's a
that's
vast
true.
difference between the two.
True. So there is sometimes, I don't know, people have a different expectation. So that has also been, you could call it a hurdle. You would have liked to go and do something, but unfortunately, it did not work out well. And of course, there have been times when you might have to go through different channels, wherein, like suppose a senior member of an organization, invites you, and then you have to go through proper channels. And there might be some other, hurdles in the form of some people expecting certain, like it's a part of your enumeration, or they do not know how to tell you something, or it becomes an awkward situation where again if you are set upon certain principles and you are like, you do not believe in certain things, the best thing is not to take up some things like that. So a few things like that have been hurdles, but beyond that, I think once we find people, there are a lot of corporates, there are a lot of places where they have the learning and development department and training departments who are very, very particular about the kind of outcomes they want, the ROI and other things from the training. And it's a pleasure to work with such people. And, I think the main hurdle would be that, when you're a trainer, you start slowly. Because once your reputation, your name, and people experience and they understand what you are trying to bring to them, and you are able to bring the kind of results that you want, then it is it's sort of it's like a chain reaction. It just one thing leads to another things. And of course, I would also like to, I think another hurdle that you might ask me was probably it is sometimes traveling and staying in different places. Sometimes you have to go to some real suburbs and some places where you might not meet you might meet some unsavory people and all, and as a woman, so sometimes you have to be very careful about the kind of projects that you would like to take. It has to come from credible sources, and you have to also look at your safety and security before you get into something like that. So that could also be a hurdle, I would say.
More about safety and security in comparison with your trips to Ethiopia, Africa.
Actually, in Africa, I had a very pleasant experience, contrary to my apprehensions. When I went, I was very frightened because I was going to a foreign country, and a lot of people had filled my head with a lot of things. But when I went there, I found that the people are a very friendly sort of people, a good set of people, and also they are very non-assuming and very simple people, very soft-spoken people. Unlike the other Africans and other part of Africa where you would I think they look also like Indians, many of them, except for their very broad forehead, and they also have they're culturally very rich, and they're very strong. and they also respect Indians. One thing I noticed that when I wore the sari, and I always wear a sari when I go do my training, and when you walk on the streets, you will have strangers who will come and say namaste. And they're very fond of Indians, because I think a lot of Indians have been teachers in their universities and schools, and they also love India. I remember once I went to a place called Entoto, which is the highest peak in Ethiopia. It is and I remember the caretaker telling us that the Europeans and Americans give us money, but we respect you because you give us education. So, he said, so that was the time that I felt so good about being an Indian and, coming there as a trainer and teaching them. And also the kind of respect they have for their teacher. I found them to be a very non-judgmental society. They would, in India, if you sit in a class, you would find some students who will be cynical. You will have you can understand by people's body language, mannerisms. But there, whether it is a director general or a minister or a secretary or a supervisor, everybody respects what you say. They do have doubts. They will ask questions. You have to clarify their doubts. And if they are convinced, and it's absolutely, and it's a pleasure to teach them, because they are totally engrossed. They take everything that you say, and they also ask questions. They want to clarify. And I also noticed that when we do activities, although they are competitive activities in the classes, like for example, you would have groups saying that, we are going to do some activity. There might be a person who's slow. There might be a person who doesn't perform very well. Nobody criticizes him. Nobody puts him down. Nobody teases them. Which, on the contrary, I found that in many other cultures. So that is also something which is very nice. And of course, when I was there in Africa, we were taken very well, good care of, because we were like government guests, because we had gone on behalf of, CLRI as their experts. So it was, I think it was, I never felt, insecure, or I did not feel frightened. I was a little wary. I was a little cautious, but beyond that, no, it was a very good experience.
Coming back to one more question I have. Today's world mostly has become perceptive.
Yes.
Is perception the reality?
Okay, it's a very interesting question, Akbarji. Perception, yes. Perception, you could say, is the way each person perceives you is a reality for him. Now, for example, let me give you this example of this toddy tree. Okay, I am like the toddy tree, you have this white liquid which comes out, and if you put it in a glass, it looks like milk. Now, let us assume that I take a bottle of milk. I actually take cow's milk in a bottle and a glass, and I sit under the toddy tree and pour myself a glass of milk and drink. So, a lot of people who pass by would definitely think that I am drinking toddy, not milk. There might be a few who might take the trouble to come close by to find out what actually I am drinking, but majority. So for them, they are perceiving me to be sitting under the tree, so they naturally assume, they put 2 and 2 together and say that she's sitting under the toddy tree and drinking this white liquid, so she is drinking toddy. So this is, the perception can be favorable, it can be unfavorable also, because depending upon the circumstances. So it's very important for us when we are, especially when we are public figures, or when we are in a position where we require people's approval or support. It's important that we present ourselves in a way where people perceive us in the right way. So
the connection is important. You got yourself somehow connected to a toddy tree, and that totally changed the perception about you.
Yes, yes. The same thing if I was sitting in an Avan milk bar and drinking the milk, anybody would think, yes, she's sitting in the Avan bar and she's having milk. So it goes without saying that, yes, I perceive her drinking.
So the connection
milk.
is very, very important.
Connection is very important.
To whom you connect, how you connect, with whom you connect.
Yes, that's true. So perception is, because we can change, because each person has their reality based on my thoughts, my beliefs, how I look at life, I perceive things. Now, today you are dressed up, depending upon how you dress up, a person will perceive you. The same person, tomorrow you wear a hat and you wear beach shorts and you go, people will perceive you differently, although you're the same Akbarji. Same thing with me. Today I'm wearing a sari. Tomorrow, let's say I wear a mini skirt, or I have tattoos, and I dress up, I bleach my hair and I go around. People will look at me. I'm the same person. But people will perceive me differently. They may react differently to me. They may respond differently to me.
So perception may not be the reality.
May or may not be the reality. So that is
be,
why,
or
yeah,
it may not.
It could be, it may not be also.
But mostly people perceive their perception to be as the reality.
Right, right.
Is there anything where some corrective measures where a person can become aware that, oh my, this is my perception, it may not be the reality, it need not be the reality?
Yes.
Because this again creates conflicts.
Yes, yes, very true. See, when we are between between what we see and what we think and what we behave, now there are like our cultural beliefs are totally, we are ingrained in them. You know, the way we have been brought up, and you know what we perceive, and also there are the environmental influences that also comes into us, plus our knowledge and our learning. So if we when we look at certain things, if we think of, you know, when we are looking at something, we also we also bring in the spirit of inquiry, or we want to, you know, give another person another chance. You know, when we think from another person's point of view, there are chances that we can reduce a wrong perception. But if we decide that, you know, that okay, I have seen this, I trust my eyes. Sometimes everything that you see with your eyes are not right. Sometimes it's also better to go and, you know, talk to a person to, you know, change your perception. So so when between our you know, cultural beliefs, our faith, our surroundings, what we have been taught, if we also take some time to look at things from another person's point of view, then there is a chance that we reduce a wrong perception of a person. Many times you just see a person standing, like someone stands like this, you feel, oh, the person looks so arrogant. After 5 minutes, you go and talk to that person, and the person is talking to you in the softest way. So then you realize, sometimes we end up telling the person, oh, I thought you were very proud and arrogant, but I'm so happy to know that you are so polite. So
all these questions are coming to you purely because I read that you are doing your master's in counseling psychology.
Right.
Something about that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I have ever since I was training, I've also been doing a little bit of mentoring, and you know, sometimes, you know, from time to time, people when I do stress management and all, the people end up, you know, I end up counseling people, you know, whether it is consciously done or whether it is done formally, informally. A lot of people come and ask me for advice, and sometimes people like to share certain incidents of their lives with me, and then ask me things. So in this process, I had become so attuned to, you know, talking to people, giving them advice, listening to them, you know, all those things. I realized that, you know, why not, and in fact, one of my trips abroad, somebody even asked me, do you have a doctorate in psychology? And that's when I said, oh boy, like, you know, I mean, if somebody feels that, it's time for me to, you know, why don't I just earn myself another degree? So I said, let me formalize this as well. So I decided, I think 2 years back, I, you know, enrolled, and I'm almost completing my program right now. So it's given me a lot of formal insights into counseling as such, and of course it gives me a lot of you know, there are so many avenues of counseling that you could do, and so that has helped me, and it will also give me a little more confidence to, you know, boldly go ahead and tell people that yes, if you require help, you can come to me. So that's one of the reasons.
Since I have worked with you, had the good opportunity to work with you, I have felt that you are highly organized, extremely disciplined, and commitment and dedication. All this is because you are from the defense background.
Probably that has to, that does add to it, because you've been brought up in a way where, you know, you are first of all, you are equal, you're like, you know, the fact remains that time management is very important, because when we've been brought up, you know, you get up at a particular time, and there are certain things which are absolutely a must, like respect for the elders, you know, consideration, doing your work on time, and taking responsibility and accountability. You cannot blame somebody for something that has not happened. Like if my uniform was not pressed, I could not cry and say that, you know, I got late for school because my uniform was not ironed by somebody. So we were brought up to say that if you are late, you are responsible for that. If you haven't polished your shoes, if you haven't got up on time, it's yours. So these are all small things. When you are brought up with those kind of values, you would realize that the onus of anything, if anything goes wrong, you can't blame XYZ, you cannot blame the traffic, you cannot blame the policeman, or you cannot blame the fact that I was born in a middle class upbringing. Because of that, it happens. You are responsible for what happens to you. So with the training part of it, so what happens is, I am responsible for delivering a great program to my audience. So when people have entrusted me, and asked me to come into their organization to help them, enhance the, potential of their employees, it's my responsibility to ensure that I give them the best experience, the best learning. So for that, I have to do a lot of research. I have to motivate myself. I have to make sure that I'm on time. I always make sure that physically, whenever I go to any, training center or wherever I'm in the training venue, I always make sure that I'm there 1 hour before. So even if a lot of people laugh at me and tell me, why do you have to stand there? So I always make sure that, the projector is working. Suppose there is something going wrong, suppose something goes wrong. So I always make sure that is there. And plus also, I do a lot of need analysis. Now, you ask me for a training program. I'm not just going to give you some standard slides because we know communication or we know problem solving. This is what we have to do. I speak to your, your HR. I ask your managers, then immediate supervisors. I even like to interact with a few of them, do a need analysis, and then formulate and compose a program according to their level, understanding, what they would, and then I do that. So I really, that is something that because I'm very passionate about training. I really want to give the best that I can do, and every time I give a program, I always say that I'm going to do better than the previous program. And for me, it's a new audience. It's like I'm starting, like I'm Nilofer doing my first program whenever I do it. So I always have that mindset when I do it. It's not like I have done some 500 programs or 1000 programs, so I'm very complacent about that. I never get complacent as far as training is concerned. So work ethics, like whether it's time management, whether it is planning, organizing, putting things, and also thinking from the other person's point of view, I make sure that I focus on it.
Now, before we wrap up, Nilofer, I want to, there is a big audience watching this at this moment. So, any 3 points you would want to share, especially with the youngsters and anyone who's striving or working to be a trainer or a successful person in any field?
Okay.
3 advice or 3 takeaways or 3 anything you would like to share which will add value to their life.
Okay. The first thing is developing yourself as a person, a good individual, a good citizen or a good manager or a leader. You have to. So there are certain skills, and one of the most important skills in being a good person is your attitude. Will determine your altitude. I always believe that because, you have that ask, we always talk about the attitude, skills, knowledge. But without the right attitude, your skills and knowledge will fall flat. So I always focus that when we develop any field, whether you're a doctor or an engineer or a sweeper or anything for that matter, a housewife or a student, it's very important because a good attitude is something that will take you through bad times. When you fall down, when you fail, when you encounter difficulty, desperation, it's a good attitude which says that, okay, whatever has happened, now how do I go ahead? That is the most important thing for a person to, it will help you in good times and bad times. Because in good times, you realize that I cannot be arrogant, I have to treat people around, your attitude will determine the next part, which is your behavior. The behavior is also very important, your conduct. It's not important to be very humble. In my corporate career, I learned this, that I always used to, I had a boss who told me, Nilofer, the way you talk to me, you need to talk to your juniors also. Don't keep that tone only for me or people in the higher up. So our behavior, if I respect my boss, the same way I respect my subordinates, the same way I respect my peer group. So our behavior should be uniform. It cannot be that I am behaving very kindly to Akbar, but I am being rude to somebody else. I show arrogance and I show my attitude to somebody else. So behavior is also one of the most important things because that is what really converts into your relationships. How you treat another person is in a corporate or any field actually, you cannot just emerge by your talent alone. You work with a set of people. You need team. And for that, you need people's cooperation. You need people's goodwill to go ahead. Believe me, I know it because I have worked up from the way of an assistant manager to a head of operations for a country. I was heading an operations for a French conglomerate. That was my last assignment in the corporate. So I know that it is a good interpersonal relationship. Like people push you from, your team members will push you. If they have faith in you, they trust you, you have good relationship with you. Your peer group will handhold you. Your boss, when everybody will pull you up. There are times when only your talent doesn't help. So cooperation, coordination, that comes from your good behavior. And what is most important is, and the third one is your skills and your the skills that you develop. It's very important that learning is a regular process. Always, whichever level you are, always think that I am a learner. Never think that I am like a sponge which is full of water. Always squeeze yourself and become a sponge which has no water, so you're always ready to absorb anything. So any new skills, take it up. Believe me, in the course of my career, I completed my masters in English, I finished my MBA, and now I'm doing my masters in counseling psychology. So there is no age for learning. And as a trainer, as a if you want to even develop leadership qualities, we should learn. We can learn from people. We can even learn from a flower. A water lily, where does it grow? It grows in a pond which is dirty. It doesn't grow in mineral water. But the water lily or the lotus, it smells so good. It's got a lovely color, but it grows in dirty water. But what do we learn from that? That teaches us that our surroundings, you may take your nutrients from the surroundings, but you do not have to behave like that. You don't have to turn out like your surroundings. You don't have to turn out dirty or ugly. You can be very pretty. You can be very precious. And if some dirty water falls on the lily or the lotus, it flows away. It doesn't retain it. So it doesn't take negativity, although it grows in a negative circumstance. So this itself is a lesson. So anything, even a stone can teach us, even a flower can teach us a lesson, that whatever happens, and it also grows according to the level of the water. A lotus will not grow, you cannot say that it only grows 3 feet or 4 or 5 feet, depending upon the level of the water. That means whatever challenges in life comes, we can always overcome it.
To recap from what you said just now, 3 things are extremely important. One is the attitude, the other is the behavior, and the third one is continuous learning and improving and acquiring more and more skills.
Correct.
The fourth one, which I have taken as my personal takeaway, is failing is good.
Yes.
Nobody feels failing is good.
Correct.
And this is the kind of advice I am getting it for the first time, and I hope guys also take it very seriously, that failing is good, failure is good.
Yes. Failing is good, and never stop trying. Because you are not a failure when you fail. You're not a failure when you fail. You're a failure when you give up.
As long as we keep trying, we are not a failure.
Yes, you're not a failure. That's what. Because it's good to fail, because it gives you that kind of, when you fall down, it gives you, first time you fall down, you might be scared, but when you get up, you have the confidence that I can get up. So it helps your self-esteem. It helps you develop your self-esteem, in turn your self-confidence. So you become a more courageous, you become a braver person, you become a more resilient person, and you're able to face any situations. Personally also myself, life has given you so many blows, you fall down, but every time you get up, you emerge stronger. You say, I'll not give up, whatever happens.
Very true.
And once you have encountered the situation, if it comes to you next time, you are confident, I have faced it, I can do it again. So that is also the advantage of, and also nothing will ever make you lose confidence in yourself when you have encountered failure. A lot of people who are successful without understanding failure, once if you lose a job or somebody, they're jumping out of the windows, they are killing themselves, they are getting into depression. Why? Because they have not, they need to understand that it is a normal thing to fail. Things will go wrong in life. It is for us, how do we pick ourselves and move ahead? We cannot have a perfect life. Nobody can have a perfect life. Things will go wrong. So when we anticipate that, and when you're prepared for, okay, you lose your job, you have not lost your life, no? You have lost your job, it doesn't matter. We can still do something else and go ahead. But when you feel that this is the first failure and I have never encountered and it's going to affect me, what will people think? We start thinking about everybody else. And that is the problem. You think about what you can do. What you can do to become stronger and come out, and that's what will make you a stronger individual. And that's what makes you a stronger professional also, because you will be behaving in the same way professionally also.
Very true. Very many thanks, Nilofer. It was indeed a pleasure having you for a long time here, and this will give me a lot of input. Definitely a lot of people will learn a lot of things from you. I have personally taken one thing. For me is failure is good. Failing is good. Believe me, when people started taking this kind of thing seriously, it does become a full value.
Right. Thank you.
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. It was indeed
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you. It's my privilege to be here. Thank you very much, Akbarji. Thank you.